today's video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the second half of this major severe weather event. And then after that, we're going to dive into basically that pattern after this major storm is all said and done and what we can expect for the next 10 or so days following this major event. But we do expect more severe weather today and even a little bit tomorrow as well on Thursday. So be sure to stay tuned for the end of the video because we will dive into that storm prediction center outlook. We can already see that overnight last night we had these major storms taking place, especially underneath this low. So if you were to kind of draw a line, that is, mostly just south of the low is where we're looking for. So where basically there's more cold front type activity. This is the warm front here. Typically, we don't see as much severe weather along that line. As we reach into this afternoon, you can see that we have a major cold front now following 993 right there. And this is obviously a major cold front. And this is causing thunderstorms all the way from Texas. That was a little weird. All the way from Texas, all the way back up to the Canadian-US border. So certainly a very far-stretching cold front. As we just keep this going overnight, we can see that this is going to bring thunderstorms even for a line of areas here overnight. That's going to be approximately about 5 a.m. As we reach more towards tomorrow afternoon, this is going to be probably Thursday at about maybe 2 p.m. We see stretching all the way from Texas all the way up the Appalachian Mountains into New England. Potentially some thunderstorms, and even as we reach that evening, we see these thunderstorms reaching into the mid-Atlantic, where we actually have a marginal risk for some of these areas there on Thursday into Friday. So that's certainly going to be something to watch out for. Really, when we follow this all up, we're actually left with a little bit of a ridge here across some of the Rockies and states like that, and a big time trough here for this time of year in the Northeast. We do see that there's still a lot of activity there in the Southeast, and that is really sticking around. It's anchoring itself in a stationary type of frontal boundary, and that is going to lead towards continued impacts for those areas for quite a while. And then what we see is kind of a nor'easter gets going, heading up the coast here potentially. So we're going to be watching for that as we're approaching Friday into Saturday, 14th into the 15th. We see storminess there across the Rockies as a potential next low basically to be watching. Is setting up maybe a cold front, warm front dynamic there. So if this rises up here and pushes a lot of cold behind itself, I could see this being our next severe weather event, but only time will truly be able to tell for that. Now, as we take a look at this total precipitation, we can see that a lot of major storms are going to be moving onshore to the northwest there. Plenty also for the upper Midwest here in Great Lakes. And then we can see for the southeast, deeper south, we do see that nor'easter and stationary front are going to set up, bringing high amounts of precipitation for these areas, over 5 inches for a lot of folks. So certainly a very active time frame here. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at that total snowfall, we can see the back end and final period of this blizzard is going to be taking place there for North Dakota and Minnesota, as well as Canada. But after that, we really don't expect anything in the eastern half of the nation. And really, I think we're finally quieting down for the wintertime here across the Rockies and even the Cascades now as we approach mid-April and into May. We should see the finishing amounts of snowfall, and then it will be again probably 3, 4, 5 months until we see snowfall again. So certainly this winter is finally closing out. Now the temperature pattern, as we kind of saw yesterday, has looked like this for a while now, with a lot of warmth in the east. It's 80s here a lot for the east, so certainly very warm for April. That is going to last all the way through tomorrow, as you can see, where that cold front has set up a boundary there. And that is moving in, though, so there's pretty exclusive warmth there for the southeast and the eastern seaboard. And the cold does reach in and take over for a time. But we see this warmth pushing back, and already by the time we're at about Wednesday the 12th, what we see is a trough setting up for the west again and this rising ridge in the east here. So this is the pattern that we're seeing, that we're continuing to see, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and if this is going to be what we see for the upcoming pattern. But really, I mean, from what I can see here, this appears like it's going to take hold, and this model all the way through the high temperatures there on Wednesday the 19th show still something along these lines here. So it's certainly going to be a very similar pattern to what we're seeing right now. Following a brief cool down in the east and warm up in the west, we're going to kind of revert back to this type of a pattern according to these models. Now what we're going to do is move on and take a deep dive into the Storm Prediction Center. Now here we are taking a look at things, and as you can see for the day today on Wednesday, April 5th into the morning hours of tomorrow, going to be about 8 a.m. April 6th, we can see we have a general thunderstorm risk here for a lot of the Great Lakes, and then even for the Northeast up here, New England, we see this general thunderstorm risk. And this is where we expect general thunderstorms, but nothing can be completely ruled out, so you're going to want to heed every watch, warning, and advisory no matter what. But we don't expect severe weather by any means. Now for the darker green areas, that includes areas like Houston, Texas there. We can see areas like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm sure there's other large areas included in this as well. That is where we expect an isolated risk of severe weather there in that marginal risk area. So certainly some isolated severe weather cannot be ruled out, and matter of fact, it is expected. In this yellow area here, we could see areas like Alexandria, Louisiana, all the way up through Memphis, Tennessee, Jonesboro there in Arkansas. We see areas like Indianapolis there. We see, I'm just trying to point out some areas, Fort Wayne there in Indiana, Detroit, Michigan as well. We see Buffalo, New York, Rochester, New York there. These are the areas, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in that slight risk at severe weather. And this is where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. Certainly becoming a little bit more common to see reports within that area is what's expected. And then we have this orange area. This is called our enhanced risk, and this is where we expect widespread severe weather to take place. So Jackson, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee there. We see Louisville in Kentucky. We see Lexington in Kentucky up here. I'll show this up here. So yeah, Lexington. We see Louisville, Frankfurt as well, Cincinnati, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and Cleveland, Ohio. So the big three there in Ohio, all included here in this severe weather, this enhanced risk. And again, that is where we expect that widespread severe weather to be happening. So we're going to be especially watching that orange region for the worst of it, but you're not going to want to rule on anything out. There is some margin for error where sometimes they place this in the wrong location. Definitely something to watch for there. As you can see, we're going to just move this on towards day 2 here, and we can see that there is 2 marginal risk areas, as that cold front is probably going to be somewhere like this. So we're going to see the impacts, especially overnight. That's going to be Thursday into Friday. We can see that we do have a few areas down here in Texas with a marginal risk of that severe weather, including San Antonio, Victoria there, and we can see areas like Galveston and Houston. I don't think that's Houston. That is Houston. There we go. Houston, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Galveston, areas like that in that marginal risk, where again we expect isolated severe weather to occur. As we move up into kind of the mid-Atlantic, the southeast, and the northeast, we can see Greenville there in South Carolina in that marginal risk, Charlotte, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Raleigh, going to definitely be in there as well, the Raleigh-Durham area. We can see as we work our way up towards Norfolk, Virginia, going to be included there, Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, and all the way up to the southern extent there of Connecticut as well, all involved in that marginal risk, where again, we expect isolated severe weather to occur. Now that's basically it for the severe weather, and like I've mentioned in previous videos, I do certainly expect things to quiet down for at least a good 5 days to a week, where the activity after that period will pick back up is my expectation. So we're going to want to be on the lookout for that as well. We do upload every single day, so you're going to want to stay tuned to the videos. You can subscribe to make sure you get those in your subscription box every day. But not only that, you can hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Also, be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.